Hollywood freezing out Meghan Markle after decades of pursuing Hollywood fame and fortune, after wanting for so long for the industry to take her seriously, as she is far away from it as ever before. Even though she's married a prince, she's had royal children, she's dragged her husband and her child, now she has two, but she dragged them across the pond, then she dragged them across the North American continent, all to get back to Hollywood, all to use that royal title in order to exude influence that she never had as a middling actress. I've spent some time looking through old interviews of Meghan Markle, and you could always tell she never got the creme de la creme. Most of her interviews, especially on red carpets, are very cringy because Meghan could never get the top tier people to come and interview her. She did have one interview with Larry King, but her best friend was one of the producers on Larry King, so that's how that happened. But as I was looking through Meghan Markle's career and her desperate attempt to achieve fame, I couldn't help but see the huge irony of this whole path she's gone down, which is that despite everything, despite achieving royal fame and fortune, she's still second tier. She's still not the Hollywood A-list elite that she's always wanted to be. And so we are going to examine this anatomy of a failure because we had this new report out from the New York Post talking about how Hollywood is basically taking two giant steps back from Harry and Meghan. And the people who are at fault for this are Harry and Meghan because they did several things wrong in this whole Mexit thing, where Hollywood, even though they were willing to embrace the two of them at first, ended up going, you know what? We're not interested in what you guys are selling. And so Harry and Meghan are failing. And I think a lot of that blame can lay at the feet of Meghan Markle because make no mistake, going to Hollywood was Meghan's idea. It was Meghan's desire, Meghan's dreams, Meghan's hope, Meghan's wishes. It's why they went back to California, why they're trying to be producers and podcasters, and things that don't fit in the box, especially for Harry, because this was all constructed to serve Meghan Markle. And so the collapse of it all, I think a lot of that can be put at her feet as well. And I think Hollywood is wising up to that. And so we are going to explore this anatomy of a failure that is Meghan Markle. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network, my name is Brittany and I provide compelling royal commentary about the latest news. I also have a weekly newsletter, Royal Wire, which goes over various news stories and offers a bit of commentary as well. And I also have a fashion channel where I do unboxings, best and worst lists, and a couple of different things all related to royal fashion. I also cover big royal events and discuss their fashion. So if you guys want to head over there, that would be fantastic. And before we move on, 10 years ago today, I don't know what you were doing. I'm not totally sure what I was doing, but probably 6 or 7, 8 hours ago, I was probably sitting in front of my television watching and waiting for Catherine and William to come out of that Lindo hospital wing, looking at that door, waiting to see the baby royal. Prince George, yes, Prince George turned 10 yesterday, but today, 10 years ago, we were all waiting, looking at a door, waiting for Catherine and William to come out and show us their bundle of joy. And yes, they did. So guys, go ahead and take a watch of a little bit of this video here.
He's got a good pair of lungs on him, that's for sure. He's a big boy, he's quite heavy, but we're still working on a name, so we'll have that as soon as we can.
Yeah, it's very emotional. It's such a special time. I think any parent, I think, will probably sort of know what this feeling feels like. So.
Very special.
Well, I'm going to reenact a little bit of Catherine and William's interview at Baby Time because I have my own little baby. She's a fur baby, but I mean, she's really cute. She's very, very cute. This is my co-host, Miss Pippa. Yes, like Catherine's sister. And so she loves being part of the Royal News Network family. And so we all, well, you weren't alive yet. So we all enjoyed, though, me and my sister and other family members watching that door, waiting for Catherine and William. And we are so excited to see George continue to grow up. And in 10 years, he'll be 20, and I will feel so incredibly, insanely old. I feel old now. I'll feel ancient when he's 20. Feel absolutely ancient. So I just wanted to remember that little bit of memory today before we get into the huge debacle that is Meghan Markle. Yes, Meghan Markle, make no mistake, has always wanted to be famous. She was surrounded growing up by people who had fame and fortune. Her father was a lighting director, worked on Married with Children. And that was definitely a window into Hollywood. Meghan grew up on sets, she grew up with famous actors and all these sorts of things. And she went to some of the greatest schools in Hollywood, schools that were designed for potentially children who were going to go into the entertainment industry. She was not a child actress. I'm not sure why. I don't know if that was her parents' decision or what. If we ever get her memoir, maybe she'll tell us. But Meghan went to dance classes. She went to other things, always looking to try to be an actress. She always wanted to be a star. Make no mistake, she went to Northwestern and she apparently double majored in international relations and theater. I've also heard that she majored in communications. I'm not exactly sure if she did either of those tracks because when it comes at least to the theater side, she was never in a theater production at Northwestern as far as we're aware. I've never heard about her actually being in a production there. And I think that's a pretty good indicator. She probably wasn't that good. And although Tom Bauer reported that one of her college professors told her, hey, if you are interested in pursuing this full-time as a career in acting, you need to take some time and do some theater. But Meghan never wanted to do that because Meghan envisioned herself as this hot thing. And I think in her mind, she's always perfect. So she didn't need to try. She didn't need to work. She didn't need to hone her craft. She's already the best. And so even though her first job, gotta watch a little bit of this, was on General Hospital. So go ahead and watch a little bit of this here.
Please call patient counseling.
What the? Do you know if Chloe Morgan has a visitor with her?
In just 1 second. I have his chart right here, Dr. Lambert. I don't see the notation anywhere.
Jess.
Never mind.
And then she had another show here, which I can't remember off the top of my head, but go ahead and take a little bit of watch the bit parts she had.
Sweet of you. Hey, Darwin! Come in. You should have seen his face. He was so shocked.
Downloaded the date off my DMV record and then called everyone in my PDA.
Apparently not everybody.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry, man. Obviously there's a glitch in the software. So
Meghan Markle just wasn't a big name. And if you look through her IMDb, most of the productions are very, very low quality productions. There was hardly anything there that was mainstream. One of the, obviously Suits is an exception, Horrible Bosses is one as well, which she had a 30-second bit. And then Remember Me, which is funny because when you look up her IMDb, in parentheses it says Remember Me. And I'm like, okay, so I clicked on the button and trying to find her clip. This is her clip. Number one, they used her actual name, which means the character probably didn't have a name before, or she got the role just because her name is Meghan. And this is the whole bit. This is it. Go ahead and take a watch here.
Meghan! Meghan! Wow, you look great.
Do not speak.
All right, guys, so that was who Meghan Markle was. She was not getting big parts. She was not making any inroads in Hollywood except for very, very small things. She had a guest role here and there. Most of those were very, very short, didn't last very long. I took a comparison to her co-star Sarah Rafferty, and although neither one of them really had much beyond Suits, when I was looking through Sarah's, I could see through the list that most of her shows, I would say generally, she did Grey's Anatomy, she spent some time I think on like Chicago Fire or something now, or Chicago Med. So she's had a lot of other roles. And most of them, even if she had bit parts, were on bigger shows than Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle was a deeply struggling actress. She was a briefcase girl on Deal or No Deal, but that was pretty much her sole full-time gig in Hollywood until Suits. And a ton of Hollywood actresses struggle in Hollywood. They struggle. And that's because it is a ruthless industry. But what makes Meghan Markle's case, I think, exceptionally bad in reflection on her and her abilities is that she did have inroads in Hollywood through her father. And so Hollywood, if you look at so many actors and actresses, they have connections within the industry. I'm always amazed how many connections they have. And their parents are script writers, directors, cinematographers, they are actors themselves, even though we haven't heard from them in a long time. Like, there are so many times where I'm like, wow. So I just started watching Justified, which so far is better than Suits, because I watched the first episode of Suits. That reaction video will drop on Friday. And I was captured more by Justified than I was by Suits, totally honest. But what I thought was interesting is that Timothy Oliphant, who plays the main character, I didn't realize he's like a Vanderbilt, and he has connections in the industry that I didn't know about, these random things. He went to school with Jeremy Renner and like all these sorts of things. And I'm like, golly, does anybody make it in Hollywood who doesn't have a connection? It's exceptionally rare. In fact, Timothy Oliphant's daughter, which I thought was really cool, he married his college sweetheart in 1991, and they're still married, and they have 3 kids. That's 30 plus years in Hollywood. Big thumbs up for him, because he doesn't really talk about his personal life as far as I'm aware, but bravo for making it that long. Bravo. But his daughter is now making her acting debut on the revitalization of his show Justified. And so nepotism is huge in Hollywood. Just even think of Drew Barrymore. 4 or 5 generations of Barrymores have been actors in Hollywood. Drew was no exception. Will her daughters be? I don't know, but they definitely could be. There are so many family connections. Unless you start out as a child actor, you really don't make inroads in Hollywood as an adult unless you have some connection to the industry, or you are just exceptionally good, or went to the right school, acting school, like the Tisch Acting School in New York City. There are just so many acting hopefuls that if you don't hit those 2 things, nepotism or school, the chances of you breaking in are exceptionally rare. And Meghan Markle had the nepotism angle, but she really couldn't make inroads. And so when she finally got Suits, this was her first time of having a smidge of a platform. And I think she really boosted her ego a lot. And of course, immediately, she dropped her husband. She dropped her producer husband. I mean, part of it was they were based out of Toronto, but you could tell immediately she's like, oh, I don't need my husband anymore. I have achieved my dream, because he was a producer, so he could help get her roles. But she couldn't get roles because she was really bad. And it's fascinating, though, to watch some of her interviews on the red carpet, because they are bad. Mostly because the interviewers are bad. And why is that? Because nobody wanted to interview Meghan Markle. Nobody cared. Suits was a very middling show. Although it was funny because Meghan Markle was on a red carpet in the UK, and the person interviewing her talks about how their show was the #1 drama in the US. Meghan Markle doesn't correct her. So go ahead and take a watch here.
Meghan, the hottest girl in the US.
Oh.
The #1 show in the United States of America. Amazing.
Thank you so much. I am the luckiest girl in the world.
Okay, I looked it up because I was like, there is no way. Suits was on US Day. So I think what the woman misunderstood was that the USA Network, the #1 drama was Suits. #1 drama in the United States at the time had 5+ million viewers, since it was probably Grey's Anatomy, or at least that's the one I looked at. 5+ million viewers more than Suits. So yeah, no. But Meghan, you see, doesn't correct her. And why is that important? It's because Meghan wanted this to be the biggest thing ever, and it wasn't. And she wanted, I think, to get Oprah Winfrey, Gayle King, these huge women in entertainment and industry to interview her, and they didn't. Nobody really cared. And go ahead and take a listen to a little bit of this interview where she really is very catty to the guy interviewing her, because he doesn't have a card that says Meghan Markle, or at least you can't find it at first. And then the worst offense, he's looking for somebody else. He's looking to move on. Now, go ahead and take a listen here.
All right, it's Ruben J here at the USA Network premiere for the mid-season premiere of Suits, for season 5, with Meghan Markle. Actually, it's not your card. That's for Rick. I don't need a card for you.
We'll use the Rick cards.
Hey, we'll use a Rick card.
So, Rick and I'll answer
there you go. Well, I had to ask you. It's my thought process.
Okay.
And according to Gina, I'm way off. So I
think you're pretty off.
Yeah, well, you know. No.
But it's a really good guess. The logic makes sense.
Storyline.
Yeah. The logic
that's
works.
probably what I would have gone with. Now, did Meghan or did Rachel start? I'm getting them all confused.
Meghan was like, you know what, Mike, this fictitious character, there's something here.
Hey,
but Rachel, meanwhile,
I can't remember what else I was going to ask you.
You don't even have a card for me.
I have a card for you. It's probably the blank one.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. There it is.
Oh, there
it is.
Who did it?
Okay, so
Who did Rachel?
Okay, so
why did
Rachel. What's it like
fall
playing
for my.
Rachel?
It's great.
You know, you're probably one of the prettiest women on television.
That's kind. Thank you.
And I totally fangirled when I saw you right now. And I'm like, it's so exciting. So obviously, I want to know what it's like for you to be playing, Rachel Zane, most well-dressed casts on television right now.
Thank
I
you.
think.
We're very lucky to have each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm done.
no.
And what's next? What's next for Rachel and Mike? Oh, I'm glad you can read my shorthand.
Yeah, you're like a doctor.
Oh, don't just give away all my secrets here.
Amidst all of her human things that can perhaps. Who are you looking for?
No one.
Ruben is like looking over my shoulder to try to find somebody else.
I'm just trying to make sure they're not wrapping me up.
Let's see who is. Who might it be that's on their way? Who's this?
That's Leslie.
Is she here tonight?
Yeah, she was.
Oh, great. We'll
She was
find
here.
her.
Honestly, I want to talk to you forever. I mean,
Thanks, Ruben.
why wouldn't I?
Are you from LA?
I am.
Where'd you go to high school?
Well, I'm in Orange County, sorry.
Oh.
So, Orange County. So,
I'm from here.
You're from here?
Yeah.
Well, let's get coffee or sushi sometime.
Okay, cool.
Let's do that. All right,
Sounds like a
I got it on.
But when we go there, though,
No blue cards?
you can keep the blue cards. You have to spell my name right.
All right, well, thanks for
Publicly. Yes.
Meghan Markle. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay, a couple things I want to point out here. Number one is that he just looks very green. If he was a better interviewer, he may have been able to manage looking away and looking at the cards and paying attention to her. But you could just tell Meghan was unbelievably offended that she's waxing on eloquently about Rachel Zane and the benefits of Rachel Zane. And this guy couldn't care less. He's looking for the next person. He's looking for whoever else is in the crowd. Because Meghan just wasn't that important. Meghan, in the view of Hollywood, in the view of the Hollywood elite, I mean, they're at a Sheraton, for Pete's sake. This wasn't a big, nice venue. They're at a Sheraton. And he's looking for the next person to interview because, well, he wants to interview the next person because he's gotten all he's needed from Meghan Markle. When Meghan Markle got her mitts in Harry, this was like electricity to her profile. She finally had something. She finally had notoriety. People finally knew who she was. And she loved every second of it. Before Harry and Meghan's relationship became public, she was trying to drop hints all the time on her Instagram. She had the puzzle. It's like, well, there's a puzzle here you're missing. There's a bigger picture you're missing. You can just tell by the Instagram that she's letting people know. She has a picture where she's wearing the friendship bracelet or whatever Harry got for her in Africa that he has the matching one to. She was wearing it on Instagram, showing it off, being coy. She wanted people to know. Now you'll notice as well, has Meghan Markle ever worn that bracelet again? No. She only wears Cartier now. So Harry, the bracelet you got in Africa for her, that probably to you meant more than the Cartier love bracelet she insisted on you getting for her. Yeah, she doesn't care about that anymore. So sorry, bud. Anyways, so Meghan Markle, she was just trying so much to gain attention. And when I first heard of Meghan Markle and her and Harry's relationship, I thought to myself, I looked at her profile, noted that her acting credits were pretty abysmal, and I thought, oh man, I bet you she's a C-list actress. She had some literally tiny interaction with Prince Harry. And she's like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm just going to put this to my PR agency. They're just going to broadcast this worldwide. We can be connected for a week and I can raise my profile. That's literally what I thought. So when they came out with this bombastic message, I'm like, oh, darn. Because to me, she screamed desperate C-list, D-list actress. And unfortunately for Meghan Markle, she could never get out of that mindset. She was constantly focused on this idea of trying to get one up on everybody, trying to hustle, 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 hustle. But when you come to a royal, you hustle for the people. You don't hustle for yourself. And Meghan didn't understand that. She was still hustling, trying to supersede, trying to not really overthrow, but she was trying to make herself more popular. She was trying to trample on whatever the other royals were doing in order to raise her own profile, because she's still desperate to be more famous than anybody else. She probably wanted to be more famous than the rest of her cast members on Suits, and she really thought the Tig was the way to go. The Tig to me is still just a middling pseudo copy of Goop. Low rent copy of Goop. That's what that is. And I'm sure she will resurrect it. So when the press wasn't going her way and she was getting all these negative articles, Meghan just couldn't stand it, because when she was a D-list, C-list actress, nobody cared what she said. Nobody cared. So she made these broad proclamations and told us how great she was. Nobody looked into it because nobody cared at all about Meghan Markle. But once she became a royal, if you tell a tall tale, people will investigate, and if they find out it's wrong, that will reflect badly on you. And her and Harry made the mistake of lying to the public, spending too much, being antagonistic towards staff, writing that antagonistic letter towards press, then lying to the press later about the details surrounding Archie's birth. That everything slowly started to turn against them, but that worked in Meghan's favor. Because you remember, throughout her whole time on Suits, she was still desperate for her bigger break. She took these movie roles, all of which looked horrendous, because she's still, again, trying to get up. And if she could get a main role in a movie, it was more as a side character, or it was a straight to DVD movie. The only movies that went to theaters that, as far as I'm aware, that had a big thing were Remember Me and A Horrible Bosses, both of which she spent probably less than a minute on the screen between the two of them, between the two movies. So her contributions were incredibly small. But she's looking now, and all these people seemingly are adoring her. She went to Australia, and these massive crowds came up for her. Well, what Meghan didn't understand is that they're not going there to see Meghan Markle, the former actress, the philanthropist, the great woman of fashion, the former founder and editor of the TIG. No, they were there to see the Duchess of Sussex, meaning whoever Harry married, they would have come to see. Had nothing to do with you, Meghan. Everything to do, though, with the title you had. Had nothing to do with you. But Meghan didn't understand this. She thought she was the next Diana. And so Sunshine Sachs, if you read Tom Bower's book, they're pumping her up, going, you're going to be the next Diana. This is going to be huge, huge, huge. And Meghan, who can't seem to help herself in anything, so desperate for that Hollywood validation, is like, yes. And so as the press turned on her, it laid the groundwork for her exit. And she was able to convince Harry, let's drop the royals and let's go over to Hollywood. Or let's do this half in, half out thing, but we can still do this thing over here. And so when the royals said, well, you can't really do the half in, half out thing, I think that was somewhat a blow to them, because they were really anticipating to continue to travel on the Commonwealth's dime, continue to pull money from Charles, because you remember, they said, oh, we're not going to take any money from the sovereign grant. But if they traveled on behalf of the Commonwealth, if you're a UK citizen, you would have been paying for it. And if you were in any other country within the Commonwealth they were traveling to, you would have paid for it. But they didn't say, well, we're not going to be taking anything from the Duchy of Cornwall, which was Charles's money. So they were betting bottom to dollar. They were going to take Charles's money. They were fully expecting to continue to pull money from Charles to fund their lifestyle. When the royals said no, when Charles said no, to a certain extent, yes, that was a blow, but I think it worked in Meghan's favor too, because she's like, okay, let's go to Hollywood. Let's wheel and deal, because this is all that I wanted. And so they go to Hollywood, and they go to Spotify, and she is, I think, a charismatic person when you first meet her. I think she spun a great tale, and the executives are like, all right, well, you have this huge profile. Let's go with this. Netflix, the same thing. She spun a great tale, and Netflix is like, okay, all right, we'll go with this. And what these companies were looking for, and this also continues with the publication deal, is that they were looking for that royal connection. Again, it didn't have to do with Meghan, had to do with the title, the Duchess of Sussex. Meghan Markle going to those companies, they would have laughed in her face. They would have laughed in her face. But the Duchess of Sussex, they took seriously. But Hollywood, over the 3 years they've been there, they've soured on Harry and Meghan for a lot of reasons. We have this new report in the New York Post, and I thought it was rather interesting to see how Harry and Meghan really had every door open for them in 2020. Even though the industry had shut down and everything, people were isolating at home because of COVID, really all the doors were open to them, but they've slammed them on themselves, and they've stubbed their toe in the process. So I'm going to read to you a couple of bits from this New York Post piece. It says, snitches don't make friends in Tinseltown, as Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are finding out. Celebrities, including high-profile neighbors Steven Spielberg, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and Rob Lowe, are staying away from the exiled royals in fear that they will spill their secrets and alienate them from Prince William and Kate Middleton. Everyone's got a movie to sell and a Broadway play they want to debut on the screen in London or London's West End. And they know that Prince William and Kate, who are the biggest celebrity gets over there, won't show if they think someone is friends with Harry and Meghan. The outlet's senior story producer Paula Froelich said Friday, "My sources tell me it's all about the money. And the big power players in Hollywood aren't jeopardizing their business for Harry and Meghan." Hollywood celebrities are also worried about the couple spilling their secrets. What if they dish on what's in the refrigerator as well, she said. So that's obviously a direct reference to Harry mentioning what was in Courtney Cox's refrigerator, which included magic mushrooms. So Hollywood doesn't want Harry and Meghan spilling their secrets because they're more than willing to tattle on their family. Of course, they would tattle on their Hollywood friends too if they wanted to. But also, William and Catherine remain the biggest gets in the UK. If they want the most attention, the most accolades, the most focus on their projects, they need William and Catherine. They don't need Harry and Meghan. And so Meghan, although she has pursued fame relentlessly, and they have had these successes in their reality TV show and book, Meghan's podcast was mostly a bomb, which I'm sure was a huge blow to her ego. Because as it turns out, people aren't that interested in what Meghan Markle is selling. But looking at the anatomy of Meghan Markle's failure in Hollywood, what's key here is a couple of things. Number one, she made her brand out of whining, complaining, being a victim, and spilling the family secrets. Yes, you can share some things. You'll look at Hollywood interviews. They share anecdotal things about their family, their friends, their famous friends. I did watch an interview where Seth Meyers got a video done by Taylor Swift's mom after she had her LASIK eye surgery, and she was a little bit kind of delusional, kind of like a wisdom tooth surgery. And that was rather funny, but I bet you bottom to dollar Taylor Swift was in on it and her mother was in on it. So Hollywood is more than willing to poke fun at themselves and their friends, but within very controlled environments. Revealing your deepest, darkest secrets and the pain that happens within families, people aren't as comfortable with that because, again, it becomes this Jerry Springer thing. You are, even though you're high class, you're kind of bringing this Jerry Springer element into it. And I think that rubbed everybody the wrong ways. Not maybe initially, but over time, especially as more and more things came out about how great the royals have acted in reaction to Harry and Meghan. Harry and Meghan look increasingly like the bad guys. You also got to think Meghan Markle as a DC-list actress, I think, again, Hollywood was willing to give her a shot initially after Megxit. Once especially she did the Ellen DeGeneres television show, and I have no evidence for this, but she was more than willing to make herself look like a fool. And it wasn't endearing because you're royalty. Why are you doing this very undignified squat when Ellen DeGeneres tells you to? Because as royalty, Hollywood considers actual royals elites above them. This is such a tight circle. You can't really get into it. It's very mysterious and very much aspirational in a lot of ways. And Meghan Markle made herself the tool, the puppet of Ellen DeGeneres. And I think that told the rest of Hollywood, if they were paying attention, that this woman is more than willing to do whatever she needs to do to get ahead. And she didn't need to. She didn't need to make herself a fool because she was royalty. She's the granddaughter-in-law at the time of Queen Elizabeth of the United Kingdom. A woman everybody pretty much has respect for. Everybody respects Queen Elizabeth. And Meghan Markle is there making herself a fool. For what? What was the gain there? Well, not that much. And then you also have their reality television show where, once again, they were complaining and whining about the same thing we've heard 10,000 times already. And when they were trying to make their case that Meghan was being stalked and harassed and everything by the paparazzi, they couldn't find any evidence of this. Harry and Meghan, they were showing stock footage of other things. And Hollywood was just looking at them going, so you're literally pantomiming a paparazzi chase in New York on the reality TV show? Nobody's there. They're phantom, acting to it. And I'm sure Hollywood's like, what? And then you top that all off with the horrifically stupid decision to make up a high-speed paparazzi chase in New York, which all of Hollywood knew could not happen, you'll notice that nobody in Hollywood came to their aid, and it just once again fueled, I think, the perception that they're liars. And when you look at Meghan Markle's career in Hollywood since they came back from Exit, she hasn't done what she did before, which was acting, which maybe she should have done, because even though she said, well, I don't want to get back into that again, it would show, I think, the industry that you had some creative chops. But she hasn't done anything like that. Every project has been incredibly self-indulgent. It's generally very self-glorifying. And everybody's looking and going, yeah, well, I mean, yes, of course you could do that, but it took you 2.5 years to do a show about yourself. Like, most people could do that pretty quickly, and even some Hollywood stars have YouTube channels that they've done. Brie Larson's done a YouTube channel, and she did things fairly quickly. You're telling us you couldn't get anything to the forefront? And then the other thing is, Meghan Markle, the bullying allegations were revealed, but then you also get constant turnover in their staff. Rumors, high-level rumors from Spotify that they're difficult to work for. Same thing with Netflix, is that everybody finds them difficult to work for. And because of that, everybody's starting to go, maybe working with Harry and Meghan isn't the best. And when it comes to royalty, like I said, Meghan Markle debased herself next to the throne of Ellen DeGeneres. She made herself lower than Ellen DeGeneres literally by squatting to her. And Hollywood is thinking to themselves, when it comes to movie premieres, West End premieres, when it comes to going to the UK, they want to be seen with royalty. They want to go to royal events. When royalty came to Hollywood, that was huge. When Catherine and William did a tour of Los Angeles, that was massive. Everybody in Hollywood wanted to be there because they wanted to see the royals. The royalty meant something. Royalty has this cachet, this influence, this mystique. And Meghan Markle and Prince Harry just shucked it aside because Meghan Markle wanted to have her California cool thing. And Hollywood's looking at her going, you're just like us. So why should we give you anything else when you're basically just like us? So we don't get anything interacting with you, really. We get the same thing as if we were working with any producer. And you're deeply unpopular, so why would I want to be associated with Meghan Markle? Because that might taint my brand. And so looking at all this together, what's most ironic about the story of Meghan Markle is that despite reaching the pinnacle, you could say, of fame, of fortune, of being royalty, she decided it was better to give it all up, drag Harry over to Los Angeles in a vain attempt to finally achieve her Hollywood dreams, to finally be appreciated and accepted and validated by Hollywood and becoming herself an A-lister, a Hollywood royal. Well, as it turns out, even Hollywood royals prefer the real ones, and she will never supersede her royal relatives. Despite everything she's done, they will remain more influential. The people that Hollywood elite want to work with more is not Harry and Meghan. It's Catherine and William. It's Charles and Camilla. So Meghan's time in Hollywood has just become the epitome of irony. Despite everything she's done, she's going to end up exactly where she started. A former B-list, C-list actress with a middling blog that's just a pseudo copy of Goop. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of my assessment of Meghan here. I thought that was kind of fascinating when I came across that incredible irony. So guys, I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.